Are you a professor looking for an incredible academic opportunity? Right now, Brazil is offering visiting professors positions and they are looking for at least 80 candidates. This is incredible, and this could be your chance to teach, research, and experience life in one of the most vibrant countries in the world. So, in this video, I will break down everything you need to know about the eligibility, the benefits, and how to apply. So, I don't want you to miss out in this amazing career move. If you know someone that is interested in this particular opportunity, please, I beg you, kindly share this video with the person. Welcome back to this YouTube channel. This is Knowledge Plug. Anything that has to do with academic in Brazil, anything that has to do with scholarly, matter in Brazil, just count me in, okay? And this channel, you're going to be getting updates about topic relating to this. If you're seeing this video for the first time, I kindly beg you to subscribe and I want you to give it a like. Don't forget, it is important for you to share it with someone that would be interested. They are looking for 80 different candidates. Now, let me walk you through the process. And before you scream, oh, but I can't speak Jack when it comes to Portuguese, just calm down. You will like it by the time you get to the end of this video. Let's get into it. So the name of the university is Federal University of São Paulo. This university is ranked the 7th best university in the whole of Brazil. We have more than 2,000 universities in Brazil, okay? But this particular one that is looking for 80 visiting professors is ranked the 7th best university in the whole of Brazil. So you can imagine, just for you to have an idea of what you are getting yourself into. So this university is a university with international standard, okay? They are ranked with the likes of USP, Universities of São Paulo, and it's a very good school. Let's go into the detail of the whole process. And it says Unifesp, this is the acronym of the university, opens 80 vacancies for visiting professor. So the visiting professor could be a Brazilian and it could be a foreigner, okay? And I'm going to, like I promised, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know. So the opportunity is open up to the 17th day in the month of April, that is next month. And if you want to get more information, which I will definitely share with you, this is the link. But I've opened everything and I'm going to be, of course, talking about now the Federal University of São Paulo University, through the Office of the Pro-Rector for Graduate Studies and Research, announces the opening of the simplified selection process for hiring professors. So this is just like introduction of what we are talking about. Now, what are the areas of knowledge? The areas within the university that is looking for professor include: 1, Center for Forensic Anthropology and Archaeology. The second one is Humanities, Arts and Communications. The third one is Life Sciences. The fourth one is Exact Sciences and Technologies. The fifth one is Environmental Management and Sustainability. And the next one is Applied Social Sciences. And the last one is Interdisciplinary and Multidisciplinary. Okay, so these are the areas within, like these are the program within the university that are looking for visiting professor. And if you are qualified, please, I would advise you to quickly submit your application. Now, very briefly, I'm going to be sharing with you what are the requirements, what are the academic requirements that you need to have. But before we go to that, it says contract, we have an initial duration of 12 months and may be extended for the same period. That is, after 1 year, it can be extended. So provided that they do not exceed 24 months for Brazilian visiting professors. Okay, so they cannot renew the term beyond 2 years for people that are Brazilians. But for foreigners, they can renew it. For foreigners, contract may be for up to 24 months, that's 2 years, renewable for the same period, totally 48 months. So for foreigners, you can be there for like 4 years. And if you can spend 4 years in Brazil, you know what I'm talking about. You know the next thing to do, right? So guys, this is the link. The link for registration as well as the tutorial on how to do it is available on this platform. So they're not just leaving you like on your own to sort it out. They also provide like resources on how to apply. So I've already clicked this particular link, and this is where it brought us brought us to, and it says visiting professor for the year 2025. Now, once you get to this particular site, you can just click this British flag so that you can be able to read everything in English. Now, this is one of the things you will know, or that we use to know standard universities in Brazil. Their website usually provide 3 options for whatever information they are passing across. That is, you can translate it to Spanish, English, and it can also be in Portuguese. So this particular one has it. So what does it say? What is the general information, some of which we have already read? It says visiting professor. This is the type of position they are looking for, and the person will be able to work at least 40 hours within the exclusive dedication. Okay, and maybe 40 hours, I don't know, maybe per month, per week, I really don't know. Then the thematic areas is what I've shared with you: anthropology, forensic, natural science, life science. Okay, and they're looking for 80. So what is expected remuneration? What is expected amount of money you stand to be collecting? I've done a little check on that as well, and the average amount a visiting professor receive from this school is 11,000 reais. Average 11,000 reais every month. Okay, so they didn't mention it. I did a background check differently. Now, this the timeline of how the whole event is going to unfold. So it was launched on this particular day in the month of February. Registration period registration period will last up to the 17th day in the month of April. So so this is just the timeline of how everything will unfold. So what are the documents and some other things? I was telling you the other time that this is one of the areas you know a very good school. You see it in Portuguese, you see it in English, you see it in Spanish. Okay, so just click this part, and it's also going to give us detail of how the whole event is going to unfold. And I've already clicked this link, and this is where we are, and it says this is just like the introduction again. Now, preliminary provisions, I'm still going to be walking you through concerning the language that you need, so there is nothing to fret about. So the SSP is governed by the notice, so you can just read all this part. I have no intention of making this video to be too long unnecessarily. Okay, so what we need to know here, majority of them we've already read them, talking about the period, talking about the duration, talking about the requirements. Now let's look at the requirements a little bit. Let's look at a little detail about that. The first one, the hiring of the visiting professor must be approved by the Graduate and Research Council and made effective by Prorectorate for Personnel Management. The professional hired as a visiting professor the first thing you need to have is a PhD degree for at least 5 years. At least 5 years from the date such title was obtained, that is from the date your PhD was obtained. So it must be a professor or researcher of recognized experience and competence in the area. When you hear the word professor, in Brazil, when they say professor, it does not necessarily mean what we regard to as professor in maybe English-speaking countries. So professor is the word for teacher. So they don't say lecturer here. So when you hear professor, or when you hear me talking about professor in my video, I'm actually referring to lecturer. Okay, so it does not mean that you're already a professor. Okay, so you are still within the lecturer, you are still a lecturer. So the next thing, you must be a professor of research of recognized experience, have relevant scientific production. You have so many publications, that are relevant in high index journal. So you must have proven international experience with a minimum of 4 months. So if this person is a Brazilian, you must have at least 4 months. Maybe these 4 months could be like a short internship, or maybe during your PhD you also engage in what we known as sandwich program, or maybe you have done your postdoc in another place. Okay, then the PhD diplomas issued by a Brazilian institution must be duly registered. Okay, the next one is it will be up to this committee to issue an opinion attesting to the validity of the PhD title presented by the candidate. The next one is the opinion issued by the committee will be valid exclusively for the hiring resulting from this selection process. And item 2.4.2 says the preparation of this opinion will have no cost for the candidate. That is, you don't have to pay nothing. So employees of the direct or indirect administration of Brazilian union states and all of that are prohibited. That is, if you're already managing one office, which is like a government office, you are prohibited from applying. Candidates who have worked as a substitute or visiting professor may not be hired again. If you have been a visiting professor, you cannot do it again. The retired teacher, regardless of the work regime carried out, is not also eligible. It is forbidden for retired Unifesp professors to participate in this notice. Prohibition of paid accumulation of public position and jobs provided by, so you can read all of that. But what is very important, let's look at this one. It says the selected foreign candidate must present their permanent visa at the time of hiring. First, calm down. There's nothing to fret about. I got you covered. Let's move. The qualified foreign candidate who is in national territory and has no permanent visa must apply for a work permit with the Prorectorate for People Management at Unifesp. The school can even also help you to expedite the application for this work permit, which will submit an application for a resident permit. So once you have done that, immediately you will apply resident permit. Don't forget, one of the things that Brazil has issued out is that once you finish your master's, employer can request for residence permit on your behalf. They can request for a residence permit on your behalf. So that means you necessarily don't need to stay for 4 years before you have that permanent residence permit. So after you finish your master's and you get a job, your employer can apply on your behalf, okay, for residence permit. So that is what they are trying to say here, that once you get this opportunity, you first have to apply for what is known as a work permit, and upon the granting of the work permit, then you can subsequently request for resident permits. Okay, now let's go to the next one. The nomination of apt foreign candidates who are in national territory have no permanent. Now, if you are in Brazil already but you don't have permanent residence, they say it will depend on authorization of previous items. That is authorization of what. Don't forget I said that the employer is going to apply for this one for you, which is permanent resident authorization. So the allocation of visiting professor will occur in the department indicated by the applicant for the vacancy. So we have different, like 6 or 7 programs or departments. So they are the one that is going to do the assessment, the hiring process. Now, Brazilian candidates must be up to date with their electoral obligations. If you are familiar with this channel too, I've talked over and over about electoral obligation and military obligations as a Brazilian, and this is what item 214 and 215 is talking about. Now, you can appeal when the result comes out. In the situation whereby the person's name is not included, the person can appeal and all of that. Now, these are also the specification, some of which we have already seen. The person, you must have a PhD for at least 5 years, be a professor of research recognized, and all of that. Now, what are the procedures for registration and what are the things that you need to do? Simple copy of proof of PhD or equivalent must be submitted. Simple copy of the identification document with photo. So in the case of if you're applying from your different country, you're going to use your passport. Then scan copy of the application for registration, which can be found in an attached. So when you say annex, it means attached. There's a document that is attached to this call, and it is named document 2, attached 2. So look for it. And then the curriculum vitae for foreign applicants. So in this case, there's nothing to worry yourself about. I don't have latest CV. Latest CV is for Brazilians. So, but in this case, you can submit the CV that you have. So, but if you're a Brazilian, it must be in latest CV format. Not only that, documents proving international experience must also be submitted. Now, the work plan must also be submitted. Letter of intent to work, that you are legally, what you are saying, that you actually want to work, must also be submitted. Now, for foreigners, this one is the most interesting part. For foreigners, this is it. Self-declaration of proficiency in one of 3 languages: Portuguese, English, or Spanish. is important. So you must be able to speak either of these three languages. Okay, so you must be able to speak either Portuguese, English, or Spanish. However, let me just say this as an advice. If you are coming from English speaking countries, let's say from Nigeria, and you don't speak Portuguese already, you don't speak Portuguese, but you speak English, but you want to come to Brazil to work, I will advise you to start learning Portuguese because you will need it, and you will thank me for it later. Okay, so it is important, even though the school is not laying emphasis that oh you must be able to speak Portuguese, but I beg you to start learning Portuguese. But not being able to speak Portuguese at the time of submitting application does not disqualify you. Okay. Now, foreign applicant must submit documents in English or Spanish. Can you see that? You don't even need to submit your application as a foreigner. It has to be in English or in Spanish. Okay. So try to go through all the other area, and we have seen this part that these are the areas, I mean, these are the departments or programs that are looking for this visiting professor. So, registration for black or brown candidate, this has to do with Brazilians. Okay, so you can also read that one. So complementary electoral identification, this has to still do with Brazilians, and registration of people living with disabilities. You can read that one. So each of those things that they are requesting from you, they carry weight. So academic and scientific production, you have so many publications. Weight is three. Relevance or impact of the professional trajectory. Are your professional trajectory, is it relevant to what you are applying to? You have two. Merit and feasibility of the proposed work plan. You have three. Relevance of the work plan regarding the social, cultural, and economic environment of Unifesp. That carries two. Okay, so evaluation framework, all of these things you can just read just to familiarize, just to get yourself familiarized with the whole process. So guys, try as much as possible to submit your application. The closing date is April 17th, and like I said, you necessarily don't need to speak Portuguese before you can apply. So this is one of the sites where you are going to carry out the whole process. So but from what I've seen, it looks seamless. Try as much as possible to submit your application as fast as possible. I'm wishing you best of luck, guys, and don't forget to hit the subscription button if you are yet to. Please, you might not be the one that need this information. Kindly share it with your husband, your friends, your fiance, whoever that is interested, or whoever you know that has this qualification and will be willing to be a visiting professor in Brazil. Until I come your way, stay safe and ciao ciao.